Hello, this is Ben. I'm going to record day 24 of Wes Boss's JavaScript 30, and it's going to be to create a sticky nav. So once I scroll right to the top and that nav bar is up there, we're going to keep the nav bar stuck to the top of the screen. This logo is also going to appear from the left-hand side. And the trick with today's exercise involves a little bit of math, because what happens is I'm going to add this position fixed to the nav bar, which will remove the nav bar from the flow of the document and create all of this empty space. So the body in this text is actually going to move up to the screen and occupy that empty space. And while there's technically nothing wrong with that, it just looks a little cheesy. So I'm going to do a little bit of math and I'll show you what that looks like right now. So the first thing I am going to do is grab the nav bar from the DOM, and then I'm going to locate the position of that nav bar. I'm going to add to the window an event listener that will trigger this function fixedNav anytime the user scrolls. So what does fixedNav do? Well, the first thing I have to do is determine if the user has scrolled past the top of the nav bar, and if that's the case, we'll we'll add padding to the body to offset the height of the nav bar, and then we'll add this CSS class that will create that fixed position. If the user is not scrolled past the nav bar, we're just going to remove the padding and the CSS class. So if, and we'll look at the window, and we'll say scroll Y. Now if that is greater than the top of the nav, in other words, the user has scrolled past it, we'll do two things. We'll say document.body, and then style to get to the CSS, and add a little bit of padding to the top. And how much? Well, we're going to use the height of the nav bar. So I'll say nav.offset height, and then make sure you add your pixels at the end there. And this next step, I'm going to add a CSS class, and I'm not going to add it to the nav bar. Instead, I'm going to add it to the body, and I'll show you why that's important in just a second. So we'll say classlist.add, not that word, and then we will add fixedNav to it. Okay, so why did I add this class to the body and not the nav bar? Well, in CSS, if you add a class to the body, any child element can sort of access that class. In other words, I can update multiple elements using the same class, and this is what that looks like. So I've searched for the term fixedNav, which is the class we're going to use, and you can see at first I'm going to change whatever is involved with this class sitewrap. Second, I'm going to change the nav bar. And third, I'm going to change that logo which appears on the screen. And I can do all three of those things at once by adding this one class fixedNav to the body. So what happens if the user hasn't scrolled past the nav bar? Well, we're just going to sort of flip it in reverse. So we'll just say document.body.style, and we'll just change padding top to a big old goose egg. And then we'll remove that class. So body.classlist.remove and get rid of fixedNav. Barring any typos, which I'm prone to make, this should be good to go. So let me refresh this. We'll start scrolling. Boom, there we go. A little bit of a delay, and I think that's just the browser being a little bit slow since I'm recording my screen, but you can see as soon as we roll to the top of that nav bar, the logo shows up. We've compensated for the space loss by changing this position to fixed, and yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I'll see you tomorrow.